Hello, I'm Patricia Muir, and welcome to Executive Encore. If you've joined us before, welcome back. I appreciate your continued interest. Today, I've got something interesting for you that you may have heard a little bit about it, but you're going to hear from some experts on it. Our Executive Encore programs support and guide women as they navigate life transitions in their Encore years. If you are stepping out of the corporate world and looking to transform your life and your work into something more flexible and deeply meaningful, you are in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about a crucial step in this journey, and that is upgrading your internal operating system, or you might want to call it your iOS. Joining me to introduce you to this concept is this incredible concept is Michelle Troseth and Dr. Tracy Christopherson. Together, they are known as the Polarity Power Pair. They are the co-founders of MissingLogic, co-authors of the book Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and co-hosts of their own burnout-proof leadership podcast. Michelle, Tracy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Patricia. It's great to be here.
Yeah, wonderful to be here. Thank you.
As I said, I think this is going to be a new concept for some people to hear about. For some of us who have worked in systems and operating systems before, we can make the connection, okay? But for some women, this will be something excitingly new, a fresh perspective on it. So I love your concept because I am a fan of systems and operating systems, whether they're for the personal or professional. And I'm all up for upgrading. I'm a continuous improvement person, right? We hear about upgrading the operating systems on our phones and on our computers. But today we're going to be talking about the human internal operating system. Who would like to go first? What is exactly the iOS, and what role does it play when a woman is transitioning into her executive encore?
Well, I can get us started and then
Okay.
Michelle can add
Thank you,
on. But
Tracy.
Yes.
sure, the internal operating system really is three different things. It is our identity, the
Mm-hmm.
beliefs that we hold, and our values. And like you mentioned, right, even with our phone, you can't get new functionality unless you have a new operating system that can
Mm-hmm.
drive that functionality. So when you think about making transitions and significant transitions in your life, then you really have to upgrade your operating system first because what we did before may not get us where we really want to go. We always hear that what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
And if we lean too far into who we've been, it's not going to help us evolve and grow into who we need to be to take new actions and to move forward in our encore and be successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You made me think about how sometimes we patch our systems, right? We may have a little bit of an update or something like that. But as you said, if we're trying to update onto something that actually needs to be upgraded, the whole system needs to be upgraded, then we're going to run into bugs, right?
Yes.
Yes, lots of them.
Yeah.
Michelle, what would you like to say about that?
Well, yeah, because it's so easy to look at what you were good at before.
Mm-hmm.
And you just fall into that trap. Well, this worked before. I'll just repeat it in my new role or my new goal, especially when it comes to transition, like Tracy said. And what I learned is it works for a while, but it's
Oh,
not going to get you to that outcome that you really want and desire the most.
mm-hmm.
And so it's challenging. It's challenging to realize this has to come inside of me. I have to change in order to really see that transition be successful. And I
Mm-hmm.
also think it's one upgrade's not enough. You have to do several.
That's true. That's true.
Well, it's really confronting, when you
Yes.
start something new, it's
Yes.
very confronting. And for us, it was the entrepreneurial journey. Like to go
Yes.
from, executives to owning your own business and
Mm-hmm.
being an entrepreneur, a CEO of your own business, that's a whole different game.
Mm-hmm.
And our internal wiring wants to keep us safe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to keep you in that comfort zone, right? What you already know. And
Mm.
so much of what you need to do is outside of that comfort zone. So that's where the upgrade is really important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it is fearful, looking at new tools, like your new mindsets, new tools, how how you do need a new mindset or refresh, because as you've said several times, it doesn't, may have worked before, but it's not working for present day. It's certainly not going to work for the future if you have other plans in mind, right? But
Yes.
yeah, I
Mhm.
love that
Mhm.
explanation. It makes so much sense that our mindsets and our tools that got us here, I've heard this before, don't
Yeah.
necessarily get us to where we want to go.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
Michelle, I'll ask you, how do we know if the default operating system that we're operating is silently sabotaging the results in this new phase of life?
Well, I think what happens is you don't realize that you've been indoctrinated with a certain way of thinking, especially being, a female leader, executive, and that you just have to work hard to get where you want to go. And
Mhm.
and that's then you have this underlying belief that if I just work hard in my new business, which is really exciting when you start a new business, but you realize that's not the answer. It's not about working harder. In fact, that's what burns women executives out and can burn women in transition out if they're not really careful of that belief and recognizing that it's not an either or. I have to work hard or I'm going to fail, but they have to look at how they are wired internally, and they have to look at how to really introduce what Tracy and I call dynamic balance in their life.
Mhm.
And that's going to be what gets them to where they want to go.
Mhm. So I know you're going to talk about that in a little while.
Yeah.
So I just want to say how deeply resonating that is to me, and I would imagine to a lot of women as well. Even when we do try to make those adjustments, when we realize that our resources, our energy is changing,
Yes.
and doing all the time is not necessarily getting us anywhere except for frustrated and burnt out, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, and I
So,
think the other thing I'd want to add here too, Patricia, is that we kind of think backwards, and we've been trained to do this. We think from when I have this, then I'll do X, and then I'll be Y. Like when I start my own business, then I'll have control of my schedule, and then
Mhm.
I'll be happy. But you
who
really have to
told us
work.
that?
I know, right? Or like when I have a team, I'll delegate more and then I'll be free. I won't have all this
That's
extra
right.
work to do.
Yeah.
But that's like a have do be model. And most of us work. So it's working from circumstances, right? Instead of working from who am I? What actions can I take based on who I'm being? And then what will I get? So we're
Mhm.
working from the be, do, have rather than the have, do, be.
Yeah.
And that's what the operating system really helps you to do. Be the person that has what you want and
Yeah.
take the actions that will get you there.
I think that resonates with me as well. I can feel it actually in my core. But we've gone through at least a past decade where many of us struggle to leave that corporate hustle behind, like what we learned there and how we're supposed to operate. And basically, we're operating according to somebody else's ideal, right? Not necessarily our own. Um, and what happens is, or what has happened, all these so-called life hacks that have come up. So it's almost like I mentioned
Mhm.
before, if there's a bug somewhere, then we'll attach a life hack to it and we'll fix it. And what you're talking about is something very deep. It's actually about going about upgrading the system, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah, yeah.
mhm,
So instead of doing the have, do, be, where you start with this upgrade to the internal operating system is kind of like a triangulation framework that we use. And so you start with what is it that I truly want? You got to get very crystal clear on what it is you're trying to achieve in this transition. What is the outcome you most desire? And very specifically, so you know exactly, am I going to, how will I know when I've arrived, so to
mhm,
speak? But
mhm,
then you operate from what are the characteristics that I have to embody to achieve that outcome? What is the
mhm,
person that already has that? Who are they? What are their characteristics? And then based
mhm,
on those characteristics, how do they then behave so that they get the outcome? And
mhm.
that's how we kind of reverse engineer it. right? And work from the
Mhm.
be. When I am this person and I embody these characteristics, like I'm authentic and I stand in my power and I believe I can do anything that I put my mind to. And then I take different actions because of that. And my
Mhm.
behaviors are different as a result, then that's what gets me to the outcome that I desire.
Mhm. So aligning our behaviors with that, what we want, right? Or who we think we
Mhm.
are or want to
Mhm.
be, not think who we are, but who we want to be, and then align our behaviors around that. So is that
Mhm.
where polarity intelligence comes in? Do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, do you
Yeah,
mind?
yeah. So polarity intelligence is about alignment, but it's understanding that sometimes things are interdependent pairs or values, and they both need to be honored to achieve a greater purpose.
Mhm.
So a really good example of how this fits here is being and doing. And we talked a little while ago about how we were just so used to doing all the time, but we have to recognize it needs to be equally we need to take equal action on being the person we want to be in addition to doing. And when you understand that, then it helps you with that alignment. So you're
Mhm.
not over focusing on the doing and not paying attention to who the person is that you need to be when you show up.
Right, right.
Mhm.
So this brings us to another point that you talk about, and that is dynamic balance between who you are being and who you're, what you're doing. I think you've spoken about it a little bit more, but this is an essential. It's essential to sustainable success, so that you don't burn out. I understand that you have a personal story, Michelle, that you'd like to share with us that's specific to a transition and the barrier it created for you. Would you like to share that with us, please?
Yeah, I would love to do it. It kind of goes back to what I said before about, when you're really good at doing something, when you start a business, you think, oh, I'll just do more of that.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize how my identity was so stuck to my
Mm.
corporate role. And a lot of women, when they make that conscious choice to move into entrepreneurship or maybe make a major transition, it sometimes can be really hard to recognize how much of your identity is still back in your old role.
Mhm.
And in hindsight, it can make sense now. I mean, I was very successful in my role. I was a global thought leader. I was recognized for my role, and I was equally excited to start a business with Tracy, MissingLogic. Um, and I also kind of kept my toe in that old world in different ways.
Mhm.
And really, it wasn't until we recognized how important it was that just I have to totally let go and step into a whole new identity and be the entrepreneur, 24/7. And that needs to be the goal so that I can really achieve the kind of life that I want to have, because
Mhm.
I don't want that other life anymore. But when you're in it, it's sometimes hard to recognize it. So it took me a while to even realize that was happening.
Mhm.
And I needed to balance more effectively the transitioning of what my current reality was then into where I really wanted to be in the future.
Mhm.
And it's subtle, but it definitely had an impact on me.
Mhm. Mm. So, Tracy, just one more question. When did you realize that your own personal and professional pivot was necessary to remaster your life and work?
Well, for me, I was speaking in Oxford. So I was sitting in this round table with all these other leaders, and I just had this reality. It just struck me like a slap in the face that the organization that I was working for at the time that I was an executive in, that work was no longer aligned with who I really was and the legacy I wanted to leave in the world. That their purpose and my purpose had come to a crossroads. And I remember walking out of that, walking up to my husband and saying, I'm going to leave my role. I'm done. This is no longer aligned with
Mhm.
what I want to do in the world. And
Mhm.
so that was, it just kind of hit me that was time.
So you said it kind of hit you. Do you think you had some hints along the way?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. And I
Yeah,
think this is a part of keeping yourself safe, right? Like your mind just keeps trying to make excuses for, oh, just keep going, keep doing this, things will change, keep moving. And I think it was just, I probably was at a point of readiness. Like, okay, this is
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's a message I'd love to give to women because it is quite scary, and there is pressure to actually realize it sometimes. And I think it's like you said, when you're ready. But then
Yep.
there's, to Michelle's point, almost like a rebalancing of things, so that
Yeah.
maybe those little hints are getting stronger and
Yeah.
stronger. And as they say,
Yeah.
it's a nudge, then a push.
Yeah, then a big boulder,
Exactly.
right? Well, yeah, I think that's so true.
Yeah.
And, for us, Michelle and I both, we were hugely committed to the work that we were doing. I mean, we had spent 20 plus years doing that work. So like, and it was our purpose for a very long
Hmm.
time. And so to make that decision was not done lightly.
Hmm.
Because I really felt like I was turning my back on something that I had committed most of my professional career to.
Yeah.
So those are hard choices to make. But I
Mhm.
think you do get to that point where you know in your gut, now is the time. And then you got to know it's not a cakewalk.
No, it's
Right?
not.
I mean, it's a transition and that
It is.
requires personal growth and development at work.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you don't wanna regret not doing it. So, like,
Mm-mm.
Tracy and I knew we had developed this wisdom of working with leaders for over 20 years across North America, and that more people needed to understand it. So, we didn't wanna someday just end up where we were. Like, no, we've got something important to bring from our lessons
Mhm.
to women everywhere.
Mhm. Mhm. And sometimes being outside of the constraints of another organization for you to be able to actually
Yes.
expand and flower and, bloom and that sort of thing, like your ideas, yeah,
Mhm.
without you being held back. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
good. So
Mhm.
this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Mhm.
For the women who are listening, who are ready to empower their executive encore journey and upgrade their own internal operating system, I highly encourage you to explore Michelle and Tracy's work.
Mhm.
Where can our listeners find you, especially your book and more information about Polarity Intelligence?
Well, we have a book website, polarityintelligence.com. So you can learn more about it. And we also have a lot of downloadable resources for you. We're very committed to having people apply it.
Mhm.
And then we have our website, missinglogic.com as well.
Mhm. So all those links will be in the notes, including your podcast, the
Yeah.
Burnout Proof Leadership. Okay,
Mhm.
that's wonderful. I'll make sure all those links are there. To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us again today for the Executive Encore. Remember, you have the experience, the wisdom, and the power to design your life that you've always wanted, what you've desired. This is the perfect time for you to evaluate what is working and upgrade your internal operating systems to live the life that you've always dreamt of. As
Yeah.
we've said, it's not easy. It's not about hacks, but it's the best time to start thinking about it now. And with the resources that come through Executive Encore, my guests, you can get so much value from their experience, and we're here to help you. If you love today's episode, please share it with a friend, another woman who's navigating her own transition, and please leave us a review. This is how more people learn about our podcasts. If you're ready to build a robust network and community of like-minded women, please reach out to me about the Executive Encore Network for Women. Read the blog featuring the conversation with Michelle and Tracy later this week and add your comments so that your voice matters. For newsletter subscribers and members of Executive Encore Network for Women, watch for Michelle and Tracy's feature this Sunday, May 3rd, for their special offer that will be linked for newsletter subscribers and members only. If you're not a subscriber, you can subscribe today by going to the QR code above, and you'll get that newsletter on Sunday. When you subscribe, you'll also receive other VIP access to resources and offers of other podcast guests, exclusive only to Executive Encore members and subscribers. Subscribe to Executive Encore on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And please leave a comment or a review, as it helps other women find our community. For more resources and to join the conversation, visit my website at patriciamuir.com and follow me on LinkedIn. All the links will be in the show notes. Remember, this is where your Executive Encore begins. This is where you start to live, work, and lead differently with self-trust, healthy boundaries, healthy mindset, and a new operating system. That's the best part of it. Operating system that will propel you forward to the life that you want. Until next time, take care of yourself, do what's best for you, and don't jeopardize what you've built for yourself. Bye-bye.